Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating text. It draws these direct, almost mind-bending parallels between 1400-year-old verses from the Quran and, believe it or not, complex modern astrophysics. So whether you're a theology student, a huge science nerd, or honestly just someone who loves a good deep dive, the way this source bridges ancient scripture with the ultimate physical fate of our universe is absolutely compelling. Let's get right into it.
Here's the thematic zoom-in journey we're taking today. We'll hit 1. The end of everything. 2. Cosmic collapse in dimensions. 3. The relativity of time. 4. The death of stars and the sun. 5. Earth's final cataclysms. And finally, number 6. Faith meets modern science.
Okay, let's dive right into this with Section 1, the end of everything. To really grasp the author's perspective here, we first have to look at a foundational premise of the source text, and that is, both ancient theology and modern science totally agree that the physical universe is not eternal. Just think about the vibrant life here on Earth compared to the cold, expanding cosmos. It really highlights a core reality, right? Matter is constantly shifting, transforming, and decomposing. That peaceful equilibrium we see when we look up at the night sky, it's strictly temporary. And the text argues this physical conclusion was clearly anticipated way before anyone ever looked through a modern telescope.
The author anchors this inevitable physical end in a deeply theological concept, specifically quoting Surah Al-Imran, verse 109, "To Allah belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is on the earth, and to Allah all matters are returned." The text argues that the end of the world isn't presented as just some random physical accident. No, it's described as a deliberate, orchestrated return of all matter and existence back to its creator. And this framework perfectly sets the stage for the specific scientific parallels we're going to look at next.
Moving right along to Section 2, Cosmic Collapse and Dimensions.
So what exactly happens when that precise balance of gravity and expansion finally breaks? Well, the source points to this incredibly evocative verse from Surah Al-Anbiya. "The day we will fold the heaven like the folding of a sheet for the records." Just pause and notice the imagery there. It's not some massive outward explosion, is it? It's a retraction. It's an inward folding.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how the author meticulously matches this ancient metaphor of folding a sheet directly to the Big Crunch theory. In astrophysics, the idea is that if the universe's density is high enough, gravity will eventually halt its current expansion. And then, well, everything, galaxies, stars, planets, literally the very fabric of space-time itself, gets pulled right back together, collapsing into a single, unbelievably dense point.
Which brings us to Section 3, the relativity of time. Think about it. If space itself is folding, what happens to time? The source text highlights these verses from Surah Al-Mu'minun. When the speakers are questioned about their lifespan, they perceive their entire earthly existence as shrinking down to just a fraction of a single day. It's kind of a bizarre concept for us humans, right? To think our long lives could feel like a mere afternoon. But the text argues the Quran is actually introducing a deeply modern concept here, that the human experience of time is completely relative to the observer's state.
To really emphasize this mind-bending scale, the text points to Surah Al-Ma'arij, verse 4, where a single divine day is explicitly compared to 50,000 human years. That's a huge ratio. The author notes this isn't just poetic hyperbole. Long before Albert Einstein formulated the theory of relativity, proving that time actually slows down at incredible speeds or under immense gravity, the text argues these verses were already introducing humanity to the realization that time is entirely malleable. All right, Section 4, Death of Stars and the Sun. Zooming a bit closer to our own solar neighborhood, the author presents two distinct quotes. The first speaks of the sun being wrapped up, or in some translations, folding in on itself. The second plainly states there will be a time when stars universally lose their light. And rather than treating these as unexplainable magic, the text explicitly links them to the modern stages of stellar evolution. The source walks us through this precise timeline of stellar death. In billions of years, as our sun exhausts its hydrogen fuel, its brightness is going to spike by about 10%. Then it undergoes this massive expansion, transforming into a red giant. It swells so vast that it will physically swallow the inner planets. Yep, including Earth. Finally, the core collapses, sheds its outer layers, and fades into a dim white dwarf, completely losing its brilliant light. The text maps the Quranic description of the sun being wrapped up directly to this actual physical process of expansion and ultimate collapse.
Now for Section 5, Earth's final catastrophes. Bringing things all the way down to our own planet, the source points to the very real threat of cosmic impacts. Referencing the historic 1908 Tunguska event, where a relatively small celestial body caused just massive devastation in Siberia, the text scales this concept way up. It argues that Earth's end will be heavily characterized by violent, external physical impacts.
The science of meteor impacts is then linked directly to verses like this one from Surah Al-Mulk, which warns of a shower of stones. The author is actively anchoring these geological and astronomical realities, like Earth moving through dense asteroid fields or encountering debris from a destabilized solar system, firmly into the textual warnings found in the Quran.
And this brilliantly illustrates where the author takes these poetic-sounding prophecies and aligns them with violent geophysical models. According to the text, verses detailing mountains moving like clouds or the sky being stripped away actually correspond to severe scientific anomalies. We are talking about the complete reversal of Earth's magnetic poles, the stripping away of our protective atmospheric membrane by harsh solar winds, and even the theoretical reversal of Earth's rotation due to a massive kinetic impact. That alone would generate unfathomable supersonic hurricane winds pushing 1,000 kilometers an hour. It's intense stuff.
Finally, Section 6. Faith meets modern science.
As we start to wrap up, you might be asking, why make these comparisons at all? Well, the text introduces the perspective of academic Gary Miller, who argues the Quran is highly unique among ancient texts because it actually offers testable, falsifiable claims. It literally challenges the reader to find contradictions within it. The author uses this to suggest the text aligns surprisingly well with the foundational principles of the modern scientific method, meaning it invites scrutiny and demands evidence.
Let's summarize the core of this explainer using the table we have here. This is really the heart of what the source material has mapped out for us today. It takes the ancient concept of folding the heavens and pairs it perfectly with the Big Crunch. It takes the divine timescale and pairs it with Einstein's relativity of time. And it takes the verses about the sun losing its light and pairs them right up with the life cycle of a red giant. Essentially, the text builds a highly structured, logical bridge between theology and astrophysics.
However, the author is quick to emphasize an absolutely crucial caveat. The goal of this comparison isn't to claim that the Quran is a science textbook filled with complex equations and math formulas. Rather, it's described as a book of signs. The primary argument here is that these ancient spiritual signs, which were originally intended to guide human morality and awareness of the divine, don't actually contradict the empirical discoveries of modern science. Instead, they harmonize with them beautifully.
So the crucial point we are left with is this final provocative thought. Based on everything the source text has shown us today, does exploring the extreme physics of the cosmos reveal the hidden signs embedded in ancient texts? Or do these ancient texts simply serve as a guide, urging humanity to look deeper and more analytically into the vast, unfolding cosmos around us? It's a truly fascinating intersection of disciplines, and one that certainly leaves us eager to learn more. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning and keep exploring.